are listening to the Scale with Speed podcast. Why? Because scale equals revenue and speed equals profit. Hosted by nine-figure business builders Matt Monero and Judge Graham. Enter with caution.
Welcome to the Scale with Speed podcast. I'm Matt Monero in the studio with over-the-top Judge Graham. And a special guest on this episode is our close personal friend, Coach Burt. Welcome, Coach.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So Coach is in town for Dallas. He's speaking at the 8% Nation tomorrow. Judge and I will speak in the morning. When are you speaking tomorrow? You in the
tomorrow, 11.
Oh, you're right after us.
You're after
Yes.
us, I think.
Yeah, we go at 10 to 10:45,
Okay.
and then
Yeah.
So,
And we're also finishing the roadmap mapping of an event that the three of us are doing in Vero Beach, October 15, 16, 17, the Scale with Speed event.
Yes.
With you, Coach, in Vero. So you want to offer any commentary on that?
You know, I was looking for a product that we could offer a lot of our monster producers because they get to certain ceilings of complexity in their business, certain revenue numbers, and they really don't have a business that they can scale. And they reach a level that they need guidance from people who have done it. And there's a percentage of people that want to sell their business, right?
Yeah.
And they're just not positioned correctly. So the Scale with Speed, I'm like, we should do the Scale with Speed. You guys have the burning ships. And I just wanted to kind of take it on the road to Vero.
Love it.
You know?
yeah. Hey, I like the beach. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, me too.
I'm excited about this event.
For some
man,
reason,
you know?
none of our wives are going. No, I asked my wife. She's like, nah, it's all right.
That's funny. That's funny.
But look, that's if you want more information on that, go to CoachBurt.com, click events. It's October 15, 16, 17. You should seriously think about it. It'll be awesome. Great getaway. Great way to plan for 2021. But, Coach, while you're in the office, I want to jump in the studio, do a quick podcast, because one of the things that I love about your methodology is extremely tactical, like Judge and I like to think about, strategic and tactical. I look at you as like a sniper, you know. But through your monster programs, you come in contact with so many people, and you see this recurring theme that happens within people, and it connects to why don't more people scale with speed? Why do we get off of zero and get to something, and then all of a sudden it's like it stops and it slows, and we get that comfort and satisfied? Why do you think so many people are so afraid to scale their business with speed?
Well, I think about the word decide, and the word decide means to kill off. And I think people get to a point where they're earning, at least this is what I see, they're earning $250,000. They're having a good life. The business, they don't have to work as much, but they're really scared to go from 4 million to 10 million, because in their mind they think it requires a lot more effort. And it's going to require a lot more money, and we're going to have to hire more people, and I'm already having a problem managing these 7 people I've got, right? So it's almost like they have this mindset that this is going to require so much more work. It's only for the like what you've done with selling your companies. In their mind, this is only for the lucky or the strong. It's not me.
Right.
I could never do that. I have a nice little business. I'm making $250,000 a year. Like, why push this hard? So that's kind of what I see.
You know what, Coach, is interesting? I've been recently in loving it, man. I'm coaching my boys' football. And one thing Matt and I talk a lot about is, dude, if you're coming to us and you don't have, you better have mindset before you get to us. But I'm finding through coaching young, kids, like, dude, a big piece of what you're talking about is building that confidence.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
you deserve it and you're capable of it.
Yes.
We got to get your mind right.
Yes.
Right. So if you're at 4 million and you're trying to get to 30 million, a lot of it I think is lack of confidence, right? It's like, I never imagined I could get to 4 million. And dude, that's only for the lucky or the guy that's smarter than me or the gal that's smarter than me. So I think there's a lack of confidence in somebody. It's a big piece of it.
Well, when I'm in town, one of the things I love doing is taking my 8-year-old daughter to school in the mornings, and we play word games. And I'll give her a word, and she gives me the definition.
Yeah.
And so the other day we were doing, what does confidence mean? What does courage mean? What does resilience mean? What does money mean? We just went through this whole thing, and she gave me her definition of what she thought all these words mean, right? And then she said to me, Daddy, they don't cover any of these words in school.
That's a separate podcast.
Right. Hey, and I'm like, man, I'm paying a lot of money for that private education. But the point is, I think about this when it comes, I think about the small business owner that we're sold on. If you get to $1 million of revenue, there's only 4% of small businesses that ever get to $1 million of revenue.
I didn't know that.
There's 96% of small businesses. So we're kind of, taught that, man, when you get to $1 million,
You made it.
you are in an elite. I remember going to a coaching program many years ago, and you had to earn $100,000 of personal income to get in. You had to show your tax returns, blah, blah, blah. And I remember them telling us, you are in a very elite group of people. There's only 12% of the population of the United States that ever will earn $100,000 of personal income. Okay, this was 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, man, we made it. Now, to your point, a story's coming back in my mind is that I was in a room once where there were people in this room earning $100,000 and people in this room earning $1 million.
Right.
And the teacher was going back and forth. He had scaled this coaching company to $25 million. He took off 200 days a year.
Like that.
Okay, so he worked 165 days a year. And when he took off, you couldn't find him.
Yeah, he was off.
You couldn't talk to him. I even polled his employees and like, could you call him? And they're like, no. What if the building burns down? It's like, there's somebody else we call.
Yeah.
So he was doing it, what we're talking about. He had
Yeah.
built a business, a coaching business that had scaled up to 25 to 40 million. He came in and coached. And so he kept going back and forth between the $100,000 room and the $1 million room. And they finally asked him, somebody in my little room, my little $100,000 room, because this was 8-9 years ago, they raised his hand and said, Dan, I got a question for you. What is the difference between the people in that room and the people in this room? And he laughed and he said, oh, this is simple, man. He said, when I tell the people in that room to do something, they do it. When I tell the people in this room to do something, they give me 10 reasons of how it won't work. And that's why y'all are stuck at 100,000 and they're making $1 million. And I think so when you think about scaling, I remember the first 4 or 5 years of my business. When I went from being a high school basketball coach, Judge, making at my peak $60,000 a year, to in my very first coaching contract, it was like $150,000.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm like,
You made it.
this
You
crazy.
arrived. Yeah.
And then a buddy of mine told me something one day, a good friend of mine. He said, you're going to build something that one day you wake up and you absolutely hate. He said, you're taking on all these coaching people. You're coaching people all over the world. It's growing like crazy. And
Time
That's
intensive.
right. And one day you're going to, and I was like, oh, man.
This guy's crazy.
I would never hate coaching people. Like, I'm a coach, man. And I rolled over one day and I told my wife, I said, God, I hate this business.
I remember you calling me.
Yeah, and I
about
called you.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you guys have been really inspirational to me because I've watched what you've done with the torch, and I've gone through iterations of that. I hadn't gone through the whole thing, but it has inspired me, and a lot of people, because it takes guts. When I talk about Matt, I tell people, man, it takes guts to do what Monero did. And how many of you in the room want to design or redesign your business? And there's so many people go like, I do, right? Like I do. Now there's the problem. But then to your point, would you spend the money to learn how to do it? See, that's the hard part. But it doesn't matter if a person's spending. I mean, I find that people have price kickback at $997. They have price kickback at, would you spend $57 on yourself? Would you, right? So let's go back to my daughter. We're never taught in school the best investment you can make many times is back in yourself.
Yeah.
We see that as an expense. Americans see that as an expense. So if I say, hey man, it's $4,000 to go to this thing, they're like, oh my God, $4,000. Like, yeah, but it's going to show you.
It's going to change your life.
It's going to change your life. It's going to change your business. We got living proof of 2 guys who have done it, but still, it's a tough sale.
Well, I mean, to unpack, we have a self-esteem issue, right? I don't believe that I'm worthy of bigger and more. We have a lack of structure, roadmap, foundation, where no one's following a real believable roadmap, right? Whether that's a lack of good mentors that you can believe that what they tell you is what you should take action on because you did that by the other guy and it didn't get you anywhere, right? In fact, maybe it put you backwards. But I think to add a third is there is this downright need for more ambition.
Yeah.
I call it in You Need More Money, unbridled ambition.
Yep.
You just have to freaking want it.
Yeah.
And Judge talks about all the time, dude, there just comes a point where you have to win.
Yeah.
And you can will a win.
Totally.
Absolutely.
Right? Did you see that as a coach?
Oh yeah. I had a player that scored 4,000 points for me when I was a basketball coach, and literally, she would come to me and say, "Just give me the basketball," and she would score for the next 8 straight possessions. She would find a way, and the whole team would just right. Well, and I think you're kind of tapping into the new book I'm writing is called Flip the Switch, and it's on the activators of prey drive.
Yeah.
And
Which I love that concept.
Yeah. How do you activate that ambition in a person? And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen in my own wife, right? I've seen her prey drive be activated. I've seen it happen in a lot of the people we've coached. But I saw Patrick Bet-David interviewing Tim Grover, okay? And it was one of the best interviews. I called Grover afterward and I said, "This is the best interview you've ever done with Bet-David." Because at the end they get into how many – he wants to try on Grover's ring, and Grover says, "I have 13 rings."
Which one?
Yeah, he's like, "I got 6 with the Lakers. I got, 6 with the Bulls, 4 with the Lakers, and 3 with the Miami Heat." And Patrick Bet-David asked him, "Why push this hard? Why get this relentless?" And his answer was, "For the personal satisfaction of knowing that, man, you took it all the way." Mm-hmm. I mean, you were talking about in there how many days you get, how many mornings you get to wake up, right? Mm-hmm. There's some point you gotta go pro, man.
Well, look, you can visualize the tragedy that helps you flip the switch.
Yep.
Right? And I think people don't do that.
Yep.
They wait for the tragedy.
That's right.
So in You Need More Money, it was the tragedy of my brother-in-law dying, and watching what happens when a good guy, a hardworking guy, just never got his money right.
That's right.
And he thought he was going to go to the doctor and get a shot and go back to the grind. And in fact, he gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer at 46. No health insurance, no life insurance, and $100 in the bank, wife and 4 kids.
That's right.
So you can visualize those wake-up calls if that's of interest to you.
Yep.
So it goes back to me, and we each have 3 different examples of why people aren't scaling. But this concept for me, of just this unbridled ambition, this desire that says, if that guy has it, I should get it.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this deal. I'm buying a lake house, right? It's more expensive than I ever thought I'd ever spend on a lake house. And as I'm looking through the listings, you know what I see? There's an $11 million lake house that just went under contract. And I'm like, what the fuck does that guy do for a living? But the question to the audience today is, do you ask that question?
Yeah, you should be.
Or do you not even think it? Does it just, it's not me. I'm saying to myself, what the hell does a guy do to drop $11 million on a damn lake house?
Yeah.
Listen.
In Possum Kingdom.
Dude, it's Possum Kingdom Lake. I ain't talking La Jolla Beach. I'm talking about Possum Kingdom Lake in Texas.
Well, I think, to your point, a lot of people tell you not to compare. I think comparison is an activator of prey drive because you compare up.
Yeah.
Right?
You should.
You compare up and you say, well, what's that dude doing versus what I'm doing? And I don't see that ambition, Matt, like I think we're not tough enough. We don't have the emotional toughness to fight through, build the business. We don't have the long obedience in the same direction. But at the same time, at some point, you just take this thing as far as you can take it, man.
Well, listen. I mean, it's with anything. I mean, it's dude. You want to be in shape? It's a plan.
Yep.
Dude, you eat this.
Right.
You work out.
Yep.
You don't drink as much.
Yep.
And guess what? If you execute it,
that's right.
You're gonna be in shape.
Yep. Yeah.
And business is no different.
Right.
Seek the plan and the counsel. But this what we're talking about. This desire to win.
Yep.
People, I'm using my son's example. Matt, we talked about this earlier. Like, dude, he has all this potential, and he's a tight end. Dude, he's more focused on the win, the idea of it, but not necessarily yet understanding. Like, dude, I got to put that work in, to get there. Yeah. And I think that's where people. They think they understand, they want the win, and they talk about it at the cocktail parties, and, someday I'll get there, and, man, I'm a win, and that guy's lucky. Dude, put the work in.
Yeah.
Want the freaking win and do whatever it takes to get it.
Yeah.
So we have 3 concepts that could help you today. The first is get your head cheese right. Work on the self-esteem and think that you are worthy. The second is get more tactical. Find yourself a roadmap. Tap into some ambition. And I would add a fourth to it, which is that you have to have help.
Yeah.
And you have to be around, like, listen, some people are meant to be on a team rather, they're meant to play football and not tennis or golf, right? Well, if that's who you are and that's your skill set and that's what you need, man, you got to go find that team.
Yep.
Right. And what role are you on the team?
And what role are you? You may
and
not
execute.
You don't have to always like. I personally think I am a better vice president than I am president.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I think I know that about myself. The downside is I don't take orders well.
Right.
So I kind of have to be the president,
right.
I can't really be told no.
Yep.
So I'm sort of forced, but I have to have team to be motivated. I'm better working with Judge on a business than I am working on the business myself.
Right. Yep.
And so I think if there's a fourth element for people, the first, get your head right. Second is get your damn strategy. Third is tap into some real ambition. And the fourth might be surround yourself with people that you can freaking trust and that you want to play on the field with. Your winning teams had to have a dynamic of teamwork.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that was, correct me if I'm wrong because I don't know, but would you say that was a requirement? The formula of the success had to be that they liked each other?
Yes, there had to be chemistry.
Chemistry.
That's different than like.
You know, and I wrote a small book on this many years ago called The Intangibles. And intangibles are things you can't measure.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like where does ambition show up on a profit and loss statement?
Right.
But it's on there.
It's on there.
Where does
culture?
Yeah, where does chemistry show up? Where does, this is something an accountant doesn't really understand. Where does instinct? Where does prey drive show up? But, you know, I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this for, you know, with your son and my daughter. We don't have a problem paying for our kids to get the best coaching they can get. Mm-hmm. We understand we want our kids to have the best coaches, the best teachers. If they need individual instruction, we'll pay for it. But then we become adults and we won't pay for ourselves to have the best coaches. It's like if these two guys are the best coaches on scaling with speed and torching a business, then you need to look at it and go, okay, those two dudes are the best two dudes in the world at that.
Yeah, but meanwhile, none of us had parents who paid for private coaching.
Yeah,
so,
true.
Right? So I mean, ambition can come from
That's right.
From this chip, right?
Yeah.
This, you know, I mean, I grew up in a nice section of Connecticut, and I always felt like the poor kid and the underdog, right? Driving the shitty car, the kids were going to country clubs. I was caddying at the country club, and I would see kids I'm in school with playing golf on Saturdays. I'm carrying 2 freaking heavy bags.
Yep.
Like, that pisses you off.
Yeah.
Or maybe it doesn't.
Some people. When it comes to prey drive, some people, it doesn't piss them off. It actually causes them to contract even greater. So if you ask me what I've seen over the last, 6 months, I've seen tough people get tougher and weak people get weaker.
Yeah.
I've seen big
I think
time
that's consistent everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen big time people get more creative, find ways to make money. I've seen small time people just continue to stay broke.
Yeah. You haven't seen people then flip the switch.
Very, very few people have I seen actually use the adversity as a way to flip the switch to find another gear.
Yeah, the switch was either on or
It was either on. It was on, and it's gone to a freakish level.
Yeah.
Because to me, this period has activated the prey drive in me. I guess the competition, because now I have a game to play, a fight to win. You follow what I'm saying? Like, you can't make money speaking. Oh, I'll find a way to make that money. I'll find a way to create another division. I'll find a way to do it. So it's actually been probably one of the best things that's ever happened to my business, just to be honest with you.
Yeah, adversity creates opportunity.
Well, look, we're jumping on for the quick podcast. All of us are making time for it. So, Coach, we appreciate you being in the studio with us for the Scale with Speed podcast. But I just, if there's one thing that I think we're all saying in the same way is that what you want is entirely up to you. Yeah. And you should be okay with it. But you shouldn't be so desensitized to the fact that bad shit happens to good people, and despite you being as good as you can be, it can still come at you.
Absolutely.
And that is the piece that still keeps me up at night.
Yeah.
What's coming around the corner
next?
that I don't know about, and am I fully prepared for it?
Yeah.
And that, if nothing else, is downright fear, and I don't think fear is all that bad. I saw Jay Leno give an interview recently. He said he said I'm a huge fan of low self-esteem. He said, Said low self-esteem keeps me. And by the way, I saw a documentary on Betty White, and she said, I hope the fear of me getting on stage, even at 91 years old, never goes away.
Yeah.
It keeps me sharp.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the greatest activators of prey drive is fear.
I don't think people are afraid enough.
But to your point, I operate by this rule, and I think Lou Holtz said this. What takes years to build up can take seconds to tear down.
Yeah. It's like a habit. It takes 22 days to create a habit, and it takes 1 day to get off.
And the first time you don't go, you give yourself permission. So, now I own 50% of this gym in Tennessee. And I said, and it's really an experiment to see if I can make it go, right? And during COVID. And there were 8 people that were scheduled to be there yesterday to work out, and they didn't come. And so I told the head trainer, I said, every one of them needs to get a phone call.
Yeah, man.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Why you committed and then you decommitted?
Yeah.
Why didn't you show up? Like there needs to be a mechanism in place to call these people because they won't come tomorrow.
Right. Yeah.
And once they don't come 2 or 3 times,
They're out.
They ain't coming back.
So, I lost the weight. I started to put some weight back on. I got rid of my trainer during COVID.
Yep.
And I started going to this, like, in our town, they call it the Mark. It's like the town's YMCA. And I started doing the classes. They were all right. Out of the blue, my trainer, who Judge knows real well, sends me texts me an Instagram video of Cardone doing pull-ups.
Yep.
Now, he's 61 or 62.
Yep.
He's in, without question, the best shape of his life. Heavy muscle tone still on the guy. And he bangs out like 15 pull-ups, and I'm saying to myself, there has to be a chair, right? There's no way this guy is banging 15 hardcore pull-ups, perfect form, everything, right? And by the way, you know what you noticed in the video is you noticed that like rep 8, when it started to get hard, he started to go slower. He started to punish himself more at the end, which we know is it's just perfect to his mindset, right? That son of a gun knocked out 15 pull-ups, hardcore, legit pull-ups, no faking it, no manipulating the camera. And I called Dan back. I said, let's start on Monday.
Good.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Start right away.
That's good.
So you have to. So I think it's to your point. You call it you need the accountability, which I guess would be a 5th piece of today.
Right.
Is not only find the network of people that you care about and trust and you can believe, but freaking get somebody to hold your ass accountable too.
Well, you could activate, like I could come here and you guys activate my drive to want to torch the business or redesign it. But then what happens is it flickers, and then you get over
Distracted.
here, and then you get distracted, which means to pull apart, and then you never see it through to its conclusion. And then when it comes enough pain, in the middle of the night, I call you and say, "Man, I'm ready to torch this damn business, man. It's 12 o'clock. I'm calling you. I'm calling him. I'm like, I hate this business. What do I need to do? Will you help me torch it? But then tomorrow I got to come in and coach again, right? So it's not that I hate the business. It's I hate the structure of the business.
Yeah.
And it's not a scalable business. So that's what we're working on. And that's why people need to come to Scale with Speed.
Yeah.
Is because there's a lot of people watching this that have got good businesses. They like the business. But it's not structured appropriately.
Yeah.
And I remember Kiyosaki always saying, a poorly designed business will always have to be redesigned at some point in the future.
That's okay. Perfect. That's exactly. I see. I hate when I come up with an idea, but I realize somebody else had it first. Right? I mean, I was exactly thinking
New idea is
that.
usually a new idea.
Right.
What? They're not. The thought is that sometimes businesses can just reach a certain level under the formula,
right.
and then they have to be blown up. You have to burn that ship, and you have to redesign it to go to the next level, and that takes freaking courage, man.
Yep.
And that's that 250 that says, do I really need to go to 350?
Right.
Is it really worth it? I'm here to tell you bet your ass it is, because it won't be 250 to 350. It doesn't move like that.
Right.
It goes 250 to 5, and then it goes 5 to $1 million.
Right.
And then at $1 million, you start to recognize for the first time in your life, holy shit, it's strategy.
Right.
It's really not grind and hustle and more sweat. It's actually strategic.
That's right.
So
It's good.
if we could help you today, that would be awesome. Coach, anything else that you want to talk about? Any other events or
You got a
activities
new
that
product
you
you want to talk about?
I mean, I'm gearing up for this Flip the Switch Big Boost. Hopefully that'll be a national book. We feel like I get a major book deal on that. We're working on that right now. And it is how to activate the prey drive in you and your team, which is what I've been doing for 28 years as a coach. But I'm doing a one-day virtual boot camp the 29th of this month.
Okay.
Where I'm going to break down my entire selling system. And just break down the whole system, because a lot of people don't have that selling system.
Yeah.
We're talking about a lot in here.
Yeah.
They got a product or service, but they don't have the engine. And I'll tell you who doesn't have it is speakers and coaches. And man, I can't tell you how many big time people that are
Don't have
leaving
it.
millions of dollars on the table.
Sure.
They generate all this interest, and they've got nobody calling. They got nobody following up. They got nobody pushing to something in the future. And that is one thing we have figured out, which is how to build this machine behind the talent, and just really, really work it to push to something in the future. So October 29th, I'm doing Flip the Switch. Be like $57, a full day with me.
October 29th.
29th.
Okay, and
it's my
how do
first
people-
big virtual count. So
how do they find more?
CoachBurt.com.
Okay.
And I think it'll be a great day, man.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. You doing that at the Greatness
I'm
Factory?
doing it at the Greatness Factory.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. Judge, you want to take us out?
As always, make it happen.
See y'all down the road.
You are listening to the Scale with Speed podcast. Why? Because scale equals revenue and speed equals profit. Hosted by 9-figure business builders Matt Monero and Judge Graham. Enter with caution.